to be. Power, please have mercy on me. Power, please have mercy on me. Power, be what you want. Power, please have mercy on me. I wanna be what you want me to be. Please have mercy on me. Show not easy, I holler shy, nowhere to escape, hear the desperate cry. The Christians say they wanna crack the sky, but I wait impatient on the king who come. I wanna be brother when I walk through the gate. I get tired when I think about a snake. Why they wanna try us? Why they wanna be fake? Yet I think I make a soldier. 3 is gold, 10 life a man. The war is on, fight to the end. If I fall down, gotta rise again. I get tired, I cannot be in. For your love's sake, do I love myself? Would trade my peace for a pot of wealth. But my foes will, they'll bad, but they'll then murder the bun that'll run for help. I need help, so I called your name. My heart hurt with a lot of pain. The world crazy, make it go insane. Give me mama love, cause this kind strain. To the gullible, why I know you in my prayer. Don't you give up, know your power here. Don't worry, see, he will appear and pull his people away from here. Worthy is the lamb. I wanna be what you want me to be. Power, please have mercy on me. Power, please have mercy on me. Power, be what you want me to be. Power, please have mercy on me. I wanna be what you want me to be.
All right, Mashpaka. Let me test my audio, make sure I'm good before I start. All right. If you're here, I cannot see you, so if you speak, I could give you a proper salute. Let me test my audio real quick. All right. There we go. If you're here, I cannot. Okay, we in there. Let me turn y'all on some music in the background. Okay, so I'm ready now. So we're going to do the next segment of what I talked about with you yesterday, or was it the day before? I cannot recall, but from the last video that we did, we're gonna carry on with another segment, but this is a different kind of segment of that. All right, so this is the next step, and I want you to get your Bible ready because we go on the side of that today. There's Ecclesiastes 5:8-9. I want you to hold your finger on that. Then I want you to turn it to Leviticus 19:13. All right. I'm finna begin reading. If you see the oppressed of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regarded, and there be higher than they. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. Verse 10. He that loves silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that love abundance with increase. This is all vanity. When goods increase, there are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely, riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth a son, and there is nothing in his hand. As he came forth of his mamma womb, naked shall he return to go as he came. And he shall take nothing of his labor, which he have carried away in his hand. And this also is a sore evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go. And what profit have he that have labored for the wind? All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath with his sickness. Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to do and to drink, and to enjoy the good of all his labor that he taketh under the sun on all the days of his life, which Elohim giveth him, for it is his portion. Every man also to whom Elohim have given riches and wealth, and have given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor, his portion, and his labor. This is the gift of Elohim, for he shall not much remember the days of his life, because Elohim answereth him in the joy of his heart. Now remember, we're going to turn it to Leviticus. Leviticus. And this is I'm going to tie all this in. Leviticus. I believe I said chapter 16, if you remember. Leviticus 16 and verse 13. And we're going on down. So let's go up to verse 11. And Aharon shall bring the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make an atonement for himself and for his house, and shall kill the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar before Yahweh, and his hands full of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense upon the fire before Yahweh, that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony that he died not. And he shall take the blood of the bullock and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle the blood with his finger 7 times. Now look, so the priest had to go inside of the, and this is going to tie in, don't worry. The priest had to go and sacrifice because, see, Aharon was a high priest, the first high priest. All right, but Messiah is the high priest. But Aharon is operating in his office temporary. But when we look at the priests of the house of Yasharal, it was only one priest a year, high priest. And they had to be chosen once a year. And this high priest had to serve for himself, and then he had to serve for Yasha'al. It was instructed that the priest be married. It was instructed that he be married so that he, if he burning, it's better that he married. But in the new thing what they got set up in the 16, 15, 1400s or so, after the destruction of the temple, they say that the priest cannot be married. And then you see what's going on inside of the with that right there when they say he can't be married. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. But so we see there's been an infiltration of the priesthood. All right. And when we talking about work, the Levitical priests, their job was to serve the people. But he had to make sure that he sacrificed for himself first. You see, an Adam is the priest of his house. A man is the priest of his house. So when he sacrificed, remember when Ayawab, Job, when he went out to sacrifice, I believe you find that in Job chapter 1. He went out to sacrifice for himself and also for the sins of his children. But when you see the priest, he had to sacrifice for himself. And look at, let's go back up here. And verse 11, and Aharon shall bring the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and he shall make an atonement for himself and for his house, his children, his wife, his immediate, his wife, his children, and shall kill the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself. All right. So Yahweh called us to be priests, you know. That's why he said in the book of Hebrews that he called us to be kings and priests. So when we pray, we're praying for ourselves and we're praying for our wives and our children, right? But when you look at our current status in America and wherever we at, that we're not under our own rule and jurisdiction, that's the problem that we have because we're under another people. All right. And a lot of us have been westernized and a lot of us have assimilated inside of these countries. We no longer see ourselves as a sovereign nation. Now we see ourselves as Crayola or Caribbean or Bahamian, Asian, wherever we at, Afro-Asian, Afro-Spanish, Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Latino, Afro-European, wherever we at now. See, after all those years that passed, now we only see ourselves, a lot of us, as I'm a European, and we'll get to that point where we'll disassociate ourselves all the way from the whole thing and just say I'm an American, or we'll just say I'm a European, or we'll just say I'm an African, or wherever we at, right? Because we are being naturalized inside of whatever society that we in. And then we have people trying to put upon us, which is a moral thing, to put upon us to say that the men should be able to operate as men, right? But when you go to Europe, you go to Russia, there is a Russian president over the Russians. If you go to Britain, there is a Britain president over Britain. And so on and so on. If you go to an African country, you have African presidents over African countries. If you go to Ethiopia, you have they have their own president, right? They're their sovereign nation. But when you have Negroes, victims of the transatlantic slave trade war, whose land is being occupied and also that's desolate and also occupied, we're calling ourselves after skin colors, after hairdos, after whatever plantation that we've been on. And when you look at um, the Cuban, a lot of these things were started by churches, whatever church ministries that was enslaving us. So when you look at in Florida, Negroes, that's why we say Negroes, because Spain and Portugal and France and them had an involvement inside of this right here. The Irish, the Irish had an involvement in this right here, right? The Scythians, that's the Irish. I mean, not the Scythians, they the Galatians, the Gauls. They had a part to play in this right here, right? And in trafficking us. As a matter of fact, my last name that I carry is from France. It's an Irish last name, which shows evidence that even the France had a part to play in this right here. When you look at Cameroon, Africa, France had a part to play in this right here. All right. So this is how we know, that we're in a position where we cannot judge each other with the same standards of judgment and expect for the same outcome, because we're not in the same situation. So let me go. I'm gonna turn to. I want to show y'all something about our labor. Shalom, Sister Naomi. I want to show y'all something about our labor. So I believe it was James chapter 5. I'm gonna double check. I believe it was James chapter 5 about labor. Wages. All right, so here we go. Here was a law about our wages, right? So this is Exodus chapter 20 and verse 9, right? This is our law about how we work, but it switch and change up however they decide for it to be, because they don't go by our laws anymore. There's no law of the Negro that they say they got to respect and keep. All right, so when you go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 9, look at this right here. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work that you're supposed to get paid all your wages for. This is part of this is part of what they call the 10 commandments, right? This is the part of the royal law for a royal people. Matthews chapter 11, verse 28 say in verse 30, he said, come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Here Yahushua invites those who are burdened by their labor to find rest in him. So this kind of labor that he was talking about, when you burdened by your labor, it's not the same kind of labor. All right. But when you're talking about wages, when somebody steal wages, this is something totally different. When somebody's stealing your wages from you and not giving you what you work for, that person is stealing your time that you can never get back. That person is stealing your portion that you supposed to be able to go home and lay down and be happy with. And another thing that they got going on is they stereotype the brothers. And I'm not saying that the sisters don't work hard and that they don't need they wages and none of that. Move up. I'm not saying that the sisters is to blame for this. What I'm saying is that another man dictate who he finna let work on his job. I was just listening to a brother on the channel, how he was talking about how they set it up with the DEI where that was supposed to be inclusion without discrimination, right? And the European women were fighting that they may be able to have the ability to work. So that was so that they couldn't stereotype and say, if you white, come close. If you're black, get back. But when they put the white woman in there, she said, well, it's not about race. It's about whoever can work. So she got inside of there, and that's where you get the feminism movement that started up with that situation, right? And now they say woman power, woman rights, right? So that pushed the Negro male at the bottom of the thing. So now you only get certain opportunities that come to you. So you have they able to stereotype and say, well, if you black, get back, because it's about who oppressed, right? Who ain't got no job. So now that they let her in, now he getting inside the DEI program. So when you look at the DEI situation, that's why the main culprits of the people who were able to benefit from that were everybody except the people that it was supposed to be for. So now that they shut it down, even though they shut it down, something that we never got to participate in like that, except certain ones that was willing to talk down on their people, take jobs to shuck and jive and tap shoe dive. A lot of people that could have benefited from that program didn't benefit from it. It was only a select group of people, the same people that said whites only, the same people that came over here and said, I know black. The same people that came over here and said, pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. The same people that came over here and said, you being lazy, you need to get a job, you this, you that. Those are the people who built up empires. Those are people who built up motels. Those are the people who built up car washes. Those are the people who built up gas stations. And the very same people that built up all this stuff because of DEI and because of the grants and government money that was funded to them, and a lot of people like me was escorted out of credit unions, escorted out of SunTrust banks, escorted out of Bank of America banks at gunpoint by policemen because you came there asking for a loan. They escorted us out, but they brought them in and gave them money. Even when Kamala Harris was vice president, they gave them, I believe, I remember one time they was giving them $1 million per household. They gave them thousands of dollars on their cards that they can spend and build their businesses and stuff. There was a guy that came up to one of our sisters and said, if you can if you willing to sell me your food truck, that you had to labor and work hard as you can and get denounced from loans and get denounced from grants and get denounced from stuff that Kamala Harris and them and whoever else Joe Biden and them was signing off on that they could have. That sister was told by a person that came over, she was told by him that, look, guess what? I'll buy your truck. They said that I just need to find somebody, find a truck, and if I find a truck, I can get the loan and I can purchase the truck. The same sister that was turned down by those companies was offered an opportunity by somebody that said, I could have went and got a truck from anybody, but I like your truck. I saw your truck. Now let me go and purchase your truck. How much do you want for your truck? So she wasn't able to get the loan from that company that he got it from through the DEI program that was not accessible to her, but he was able to get it and say, I'll bring the money back and I'm going to buy the truck from you. So what I'm saying is, the only way that we should be able to judge one another with the same level of judgment, then we have to all be on the same standing. Now, I heard somebody saying earlier today that everybody in the whole America is immigrants except the indigenous people that was already over here. But let me stop right there and address that right there. Let me address that. An immigrant is someone who willfully comes over to a place, signs and becomes a immigrant with immigrant status. Negroes that was brought to this Western hemisphere didn't come over here as no immigrants. We didn't fill out no immigration paperwork. We didn't do any of that. Negroes came down here. If they paperwork they filled out was the boo-boo at the bottom of them ships and the pee-pee that came down there through them vents, them ventilators. They didn't, when they got off the ship, they didn't set them up with a card. They gave they put them on stands and they bid for the 50. They bid for the 100. They bid and put out prices for them. Negroes didn't come over here and was given all this free housing and all that right there. Negroes worked for free. And they was out there in the outhouse. You know what an outhouse is? If you lived in Florida or you live down there in the South, somewhere where they got farms at, in Georgia, Alabama, an outhouse is where you keep the animals at. That's where you keep your tools and stuff at. Negroes was in the animal sheds. Negroes slept on the floor. Negroes didn't get to eat a full course meal and was sassy about how much money they getting and how they feel like they being served by somebody. Negroes didn't get the same treatment. So you cannot put everybody in the same bucket and get mad at people when they say, no, that's not true. Juneteenth is not what they making it out to be. Calling somebody slow and stupid because they didn't know how to read because the slave master beat them half to death is not a wise thing to do. That's callous, that's cold-hearted to say that somebody is dumb or stupid because they weren't able to read because they couldn't read. They could read their language, but they couldn't even read that after a while because that was the purpose of them not being allowed to read. They gave them preachers that they taught how to read to teach them how to be a good slave. That's why they gave them the Negro Slave Bible after they were able to learn how to read. My grandfather and them didn't know how to write well. My granddaddy, great grandfather, was born into slavery. My great grandmother that I sat down under and listened to was born a free slave. She was younger than my granddad. Her mother was born into slavery on the cotton plantation. They weren't born into the laps of luxury. But I want you to hear this. In 1960, there were still slave plantations running in America. That's what that movie with Keke Palmer was playing. I believe that was Keke Palmer. When she I thought that she had traveled back in time. The movie that Common was in, the rapper Common. Y'all might need to check that out. I don't know the name of it, but if one of y'all know, if I could remember, I'll put it down in the chat. But there was a movie that Keke Palmer them had did about a plantation that was in America in the 1960s. All right. In the 1950s, they had done covered up Oscarville in the 1950s. How many of you got parents that was born in the 1950s? How many of you know, how many of y'all that was born in the 1950s? How many of y'all got parents that was born in the 1930s? I got a granddaddy that was born in the 1930s that died when I had turned 2 years old, the month after my birth. He was born in 1928. So I wonder how old was his daddy? What year was he born? Because if my granddaddy was born in 1928, a toddler just coming out of the womb of his mother, how old, what age was his mom and them born? They was born in the 1800s in America. All right. So there's a plantation called the James Plantation in Tipper. You don't find a lot of information on the Negro Kennedys. For some reason, we don't know a lot of the history of the Negro Kennedys. Kennedys. The only thing you'll see if you look up the Negro Kennedys, oh, bah. The only thing you'll find out, you'll see Teaser Kennedy. You'll see some other people, Jack Kennedy, and then you'll look at the Kennedy, the Kennedy family, which is the presidents, the people that run the that's in government. That's where you'll see affiliated with the Kennedys. They got Irish. They come from Ireland. So there was a history of that. That the Kennedys came out of Ireland. All right. And those Kennedys that y'all saw on TV, like Robert Kennedy and all them, they got royal bloodline, the European royal bloodline, right? But that's them. But the Negro Kennedys that was on that plantation was freedmen on the plantation. And and I believe it was 1700s, 1800s or so, there was freedmen Kennedys on the plantation. Right? So the Kennedys were freedmen on the plantation, not migrants or immigrations. No, they were freedmen. They were freed in America, freed in America. All right, freed men in America. That don't mean just men. That was woman and men, because freedmen, and they didn't calculate the marriages. So when you try to find out who was Tipper and all that, they didn't worry about that, because it was against the law to them for them to honor the marriage of a freedman. So that's why when you try to find your records, try to find out who your granddaddy, who your grandma is, you can't find it hardly. Maybe you may look up in the animal section on history and say they own this many oxen or whatever, and then you might find one of them oxen might be your granddaddy or your grandmother, mother. Other people was not counted like that. They was counted as Hispanics. They was counted as Africans immigrating from Africa. They was counted as Caribbeans, even though during the time of slavery they was not counted as human beings. But now, when they immigrate to North America, now they're counted as human beings, right? To a certain extent. If we go down there to the Caribbeans, now, if in their government, they may classify us as a human being down there now. So all this stuff we can't keep forgetting the past, trying to talk about we're gonna fix this thing and pretending like we white people. We not European people. We're not a part of that right there. That's why that's a book that they got out right now. There's a book that came out in the time of slavery. I got the book. But James chapter 5 and verse 4. I want to go there. James chapter 5 and verse 4. And I read that book to y'all, and I'll look it up for y'all so y'all can see it. But James chapter 5, verse 4. Because, when we say it's things we got to change, and then we start trying to emasculate and defeminize women, emasculate, but mainly emasculation of brothers, because of a feminism movement that brothers had no part in holding a sister down. Uh, we were all in our community as Israelites. We were all counted as 3/5 of a human, and they didn't even recognize our marriages as lawful marriages. So you can wonder why, when a slave master uh, forced himself on your grandpappy and on my grandpappy's wife, how he felt justified in doing it. Now look at this right here: misuse of riches. This is James chapter 5. Let's see if people acknowledge this as the right way to go. If they run their business like this, go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted. Why? And your garments are moth eaten. Why? Your gold and silver is cankered. Why? That's what you got to ask yourself. And the rust of them shall be a witness. The rust of them, remember, they store up for themselves, they store it up against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasures together for the last days. Look at this right here. You have heaped treasures together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborer who have reaped down, your fields, which is of you, kept back by fraud. So it's people that's supposed to pay you a livable wage. They supposed to pay you, but they keeping back your stuff by fraud. Do you understand? If you out there in the field, or if you got the job, you supposed to get paid for your labor. We had 400 and some years of free labor. They say 200 some years of free labor, but when you look at the 13th Amendment, there's more years stacked on top of that of free labor, kept back by fraud. Then when we said we wanted reparations, it was kept back by fraud. In a mockery campaign that went all across the United States, and in my comprehension, across the whole world of a four corner bucking of the slaves in this plantation in North America that don't consider themselves as slaves, but the full fledged bucking of our people on this side of America. Shalom, pure repentance, heart the kingdom is at hand. So we've been bed booked across the whole four corners, and a lot of us participate in it because we have been we simulate into this society. A brother was talking about how we had our own baseball team, how we had our own leagues, how we had our own businesses, and how during the time of simulation to be included, we left all our businesses so we can immigrate inside of European businesses. With the DEI program, you can't get into it. Now, the elders during that time, whatever they did with the money, I don't know. If they got any of the money, I don't know. But whatever happened, we lost all of the businesses that we had. Remember the Jacksonville, the town that the Israelites built in Jacksonville that they call Crayola Crayon people? Remember the towns that we built in Texas? Remember the towns that we built in LA? Remember the towns that we built in all these different places in New York and in all the different places? When we started trying to immigrate and imitate, guess what happened? You remember the movies used to come out. I had a man wanted to go out. It was a movie. I can't remember the name of it. But he wanted to leave. They wanted to leave out of the hood to dress a specific way, to put on a specific clothing. And when you look throughout the whole movie, it was propagandized that this is the acceptable way. It wasn't nobody acceptable in those kind of films, which was you reading the book when you watching the film, was nothing acceptable but people that remove their locks off of their head, whether if they made an oath or not. They teach you against your oaths. They say, "Oh, the law done away with, so that oath don't mean nothing." So you taking the locks off of your head so you can get hired to be first hired. Uh, you you try to change your accent to sound more acceptable. You know, hello, my name is Jimmy, instead of saying, "Hey, my name Jimmy." You don't want to acknowledge your granddaddy them name because you know my granddaddy name in real life was Tyrone Jackson. You know, and my other granddaddy, that and my other granddaddy was named Ernest. His nickname was Joby, and grandma called him Ernest. Joby. You can't you don't want to go to the job and say my name Joby. You know, you can't go to the job and say my name Tyrone like my granddaddy and them. You couldn't. You had to go there and say my name is Willie. You know, my granddaddy, my great granddaddy name was Willie. Y'all see that? My other granddaddy name on my daddy's side, which is my great granddaddy that I never met, is his name is Ernest Kennedy Sr. But before that, after that, I can't find nothing because I guess they got them labeled as a pig or a dog or a ox. Everybody didn't go through that in North America. Everybody didn't go through that in North America. If you go to Jamaica, right? Everybody didn't go through what our brothers and sisters went through with in Jamaica. If you go to Haiti, even if a freedman from America go to Haiti to live over there for a while, we didn't go through what they went through with in Haiti because we wasn't in Haiti. They was in Haiti. So we would step on the land and say, whatever they went through with, We have to reverence that, respect the people where you at. My grandmother and them say, when you go inside somebody's house, respect their house, right? So if we go to their country, we respect their country. If you go to Uganda and they have history there that ties back to that time, a situation that happened with them, I can't go there to Uganda and say, everybody in Uganda, y'all history never happened. Whatever y'all went through with is what we went through with. And whenever you say it, you a liar. And get all of the proceeds from Uganda. We don't, that's not how you do that, right? But when you see when people came to the north, the north side of the plantation, they came over here nabbing, stabbing, and grabbing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when they got them cards, we expected, say, you know what? Whenever we had some, we said black and brown. Whenever we had when we tried to do the music thing, we said we liked the Pit Bull. We wanted to listen to Fat Joe. We wanted to listen to we had no problem with listening. We didn't a lot of rappers we didn't even know that they had Caribbean backgrounds or Jamaican background because we saw them as brothers and sisters. I read in the history book that they took the tribe and brought them over here to the West. But during the time of these administrations, it's almost like we didn't realize that people didn't see themselves in the lens of what really happened. They see themselves as Bahamian. They see themselves as Spanish. They see themselves as this. But when we started understanding that, then they said, okay, now we see why. So now I'm telling you, this is the situation. Everybody is not in the same playing field. So when they try to compare uh uh Negroes to European people, that's not logical. That's not sound to do, right? They didn't leave all their businesses to immigrate inside of Negro stuff. Negroes during the time of that marches, they was immigrating inside of Martin Luther King and them thing what he had going on. And I remember listening to Elder Malcolm X saying that that was a bad move, that they shouldn't do that. But he said if y'all gonna do that, then y'all doing it all wrong anyway. So let me see. I am the only melanated female worker on my job, and I am all natural. I never try to fit in with them. See, because you being yourself, and when you try to be yourself, sometimes people will try to make you feel shame, like it's something wrong with you because you naturally want to be yourself. I remember, I don't know if y'all remember seeing these films back in the day. Y'all remember the film came out called Flipper, the dolphin, and Lassie. When I see white people on like Leave It to Beaver and that stuff like that, when I seen stuff on like that on the TV, and I saw white people, European people being European, you know what I mean? I didn't feel like, oh, they doing that because they hate people that be themselves. No, I actually felt like, oh, that's cool. I was able to sit down and watch Dennis the Menace. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like uh, he need to he I didn't feel no type of way about that. But when you go to work and you put your locks in your head and stuff, it's like people got a problem with it. But when you look at Leave It to Beaver on TV and Dennis the Menace and whatever films they had that Europeans was Old Yeller. Y'all remember Old Yeller? Films like that. You saw European, I believe, in my mind now, this might be wrong, and one of the most purest forms of being European. I just remember that, right? But when you look at it now, it's like people got a problem with people being themselves. Like if you go to the job, a European man, hell can be dragging on the ground. But if a brother here dragging on the ground with locks, it's a problem. They want to excommunicate him. You got to break your oath. So you can never do a Nazarite oath with them, because they think that well, I should be able to. You already wear your hair. So everything they want to infiltrate it in, you tie it in. You can't tie everything together. Everything don't belong together. So when you look at your brothers, they don't have the same opportunities. Like a lot of these jobs and stuff, these motels and stuff, Walmart, them don't go and work. Walmart work for Walmart. Publix work for Publix. And whatever companies that's inside of Publix, they work for themselves. You see what I'm saying? But we're saying, if you're not no man, you're not no woman, if you're not working for this name brand company, if you're not working for Kmart, if you're not working for I don't know, they still got Kmart's. If you're not working for the Piggly Wiggly, if you well, I don't know who own Piggly Wiggly. If you're not working for any one of these companies, then you black, right? Do y'all remember Scotty's? Scotty's was a hardware store uh in Florida. Scotty's was a hardware store, and I think that they had more branches all around. Do you know how Scotty's got destroyed? Scotty's got destroyed because, Scotty's was selling drywall for like, a quarter. You could get a whole thing of screws or something like 2 cent. My bad, 2 cent. Maybe five, maybe a nickel. You can go. I walked in there with my granddad. I know what I'm talking about. You could get a door for like, $5. I'm talking about a front door. You could go and buy a front door for like $10. Uh, but when Walmart came in, they gave good advertisement that Walmart sold everything, bicycles, everything. So everybody go to Walmart because it's more popular. This how we know that we know how to read when we see TV. We was reading what they was telling us to go do, and a lot of us was really young and didn't know better. We want to go to Scotty's, We didn't want to go down there. We didn't want to go and let granddaddy build us a doghouse. We wanted to go to the person that already got the doghouse built. You know what I mean? We didn't want to learn how to make our own video game. We wanted to go and buy the game already built. It's nice to buy the game, but if you want to build your own game, you might need to go to the hardware store. You might need to do some research, go to the library, but we want it already made. You know what I mean? We didn't want to open up a company. You know what I mean? We didn't, when we have gifts and talents, we say, I need a patent, and then we try to sell our patents. You see what I'm saying? So now we don't have, and if we had a idea, where do we go to get the capital in order to build it up? You see what I'm saying? We don't have our own bank. We say Wells Fargo is the best bank. We say, a lot of these banks was built by slave money, don't you? But we say Wells Fargo is, I like Wells Fargo. I like Chase. I like these. We have all these. We like all this stuff, but we don't build our own stuff, right? And when you see a brother that say, I want to make my own clothing line, society teaches the women in our community to say he a deadbeat with a dumb dream that ain't gonna never accumulate to nothing. While at the same time, the jobs is being offered to the women more than they offer to the men anyway. So the women gonna get in there. So if she get inside the door, he can go to the bank and beg them for a loan all he want to. They ain't gonna give him one. There was a movie Tyler Perry did about how that brother had borrowed that money from his wife, and she got mad with him, and she said she going to get with Mr. Cartwright, and she said even the baby that he had was from Cartwright. I don't know if y'all remember that. But she didn't want to loan him the money. And I heard a sister online, she was saying how she don't think that uh, the wife should loan her husband no money, but he got to go to the bank and beg them to loan them all that blood money that's got our ancestors' blood on it. they won't give it to him. If he go to his wife, they won't give it to him. If he go to his cousin say I ain't got it. If he go to his granddaddy say he ain't got it. You know what I mean? They say you got to get it how I got it, but somebody had to give it to him. So we mixed up. We all messed up, and we're trying to correct things by trying to break people. That's not the way to correct it. I realized the situation, not punishing the person that's the result of what has occurred, but looking at what has occurred. If you go out there and you see that your garden has been flooded with water, the thing is not to beat the garden down, but you got to figure out how you gonna drain that water out of your garden. You know what I mean? You got to drain it out, or your plant's gonna choke to death. That's the movie. Thank you, sister. I would give my husband whatever Armand needs to start his business. Armand. And sometimes when people see a woman doing that, they say, "Oh, you taking care of a deadbeat man." No, you investing not only in your husband, you investing in your household. That's your husband. That's your, you know what I mean? You invested in your household. And if he put that money to use, if he do what he say he gonna do with it, he didn't tell a tale. So that's what I'm saying. They don't want a lot of the women to believe that they man can succeed, but they'll have our brothers and sisters go out there and vote for somebody that they don't know, that has a history of never succeeding in anything they said they're going to do for you. But you have people in your family, you may have a rich cousin, a rich auntie, uncle, whoever it may be, that say, I'm afraid to invest in my family because I got it all by myself. But we don't want to invest in one another. We want to go and beg the banks. But our brothers and sisters can come together and say, I'll fund it. What businesses we got, what bank we can open up. Don't I think Killer Mike got a something open up. Is there anybody that's willing to help Killer Mike with what he got going on so that more people can get put on? Right? Not that I just hear somebody saying, hey, look, man, I want to get put on. And then that's all we doing is talking. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to bring out. And we need to, if we had our own prisons systems, like why do people got private prisons and we don't have none? We should have our own prison system where we don't want our people to be locked up in there for life. You know what I mean? And other people do greater things or even small things, small but not as small as our brothers and sisters do, and they locked up in there for 20 and 30 years, 90 years. Some of them locked up for self-defense. We need to have our own, because people, but they judge their people how they judge their people. But we got to let ours stay locked up in there because we ain't running nothing but our mouths. If we're not going to fix, if we're not going to work on what we need to work on, and the person that say work on it, I fear that it won't get done because it'll just become something else that's spoken over the years that we sooner or later get tired of and go back to being ratchet because when we tried, nobody wanted to come together and do anything. It's like it's your last opportunity to do your test, or you gonna fail, and you're not gonna do the test. So we got to put it to the test. I see Ice Cube got a brand new team that he got his league that he been running. You know what I mean? It show it can be done, and we just got to do it. I watched it on Channel 6. I watched the LA playing. I seen some of the NBA players. They participate and they want to come in and play in that league. That's how we got to be with each other. Like you cannot see it. Don't let the little boy dream die. You know, don't let the little girl dream die. She want to make a Barbie doll TV show. Don't let her dream die when she get old enough and she say, "Well, I don't want to do that no more because I ain't feeling that no more." So now she in the club being ratchet now. This is why they do not want us to get reparations because they know that the remnant will build our own communities. Exactly. And the only way the for a lot of these companies that's running is by our poverty, is by our situation. Because if we weren't in poverty, a lot of the stuff, like even when they go around doing their speeches, they wouldn't make no money off of no speeches like that if we had a bill that protect us from being racially profiled. So if you wonder why a lot of the shuck and jiving people speak against us having our own bill, you know what I mean? That that the laws are actually enforced, but like Elder Malcolm X said, they already got all the laws on the book. We don't need no other laws to have on there. They already got all the laws on the book. All they need to do is enforce them. You know. So I'm finna leave it at that, fam. And I want y'all to remember, uh, check out this book right here. I want y'all to check out that book right there. Okay. I want y'all to check out that book. I left it underneath the video. I didn't really speak on it. I showed y'all a couple of pictures out of it last time, but I want y'all to check out that book. Um, I mean, it's every nation working together, every last one, and we the one that's told we not a nation. We're told we got to just assimilate. You know, Martin Luther King had a dream, and he said that he made a mistake. He made an error, and he said, "Now we going to get our check," and they took him out. Why did they take him out? Because he wasn't trying to immigrate no more. He was trying to get the check. All right, fam. Please go and check out my new wanna be. Please check out my new song if you haven't already. Please like the video, and I thank y'all for coming. And shalom.
Loud Astro. Loud Astro. Loud Astro. I wanna be what you want me to be. Your power, please have mercy on me. Your power, please have mercy on me. Your power. Be what you be. Your power, please have mercy on me. I wanna be what you want me to be. Please have mercy on me.
Show not easy, I holler shot, nowhere to escape, hear the desperate cry. The Christians say they wanna crack the sky, but I wait patient on the king who come. I wanna be brother when I walk through the gate. I get tired when I think about a snake. Why they wanna try us? Why they wanna be fake? Yet I think I make a soldier. 3 is gold, 10 life a man. The war is on, fight to the end. If I fall down, gotta rise again. I get tired, I cannot be in. For your love's sake, do I love myself? Would trade my peace for a pot of wealth. But my foes will, they'll bad, but they'll didn't murder the one that'll run for help. I need help, so I called your name. My heart hurt. with a lot of pain. The world crazy, make it go insane. Give me mama love, cause this kind screen. To the gully where why know you in my prayer. Don't you give up, know your power here. Don't worry, see, he will appear and pull his people away from here. Worthy is the Lamb.
I wanna be what you want me to be. Your power, please have mercy on me. Your power, please have mercy on me. Your power, be what you want me to be. Your power, please have mercy on me. I wanna be